I am here. Believe it or not, the long distance from the desk, I have arrived. I am here with Sol and Brian Kibler to round out the day. Let you know what's gone on if you missed any of the series. We can check out the updated groups as this is it. We have got our 8 players. Opening week is over. And we can see Group A, Jason Zhou taking the top spot, the 1 seed in Group A to go through. Joined by Cydonia, we saw today have his 2nd victory over Handsome Guy to get that 2nd place spot.
Yeah, and then in Group B, Chansey was the one to march through the winners bracket. He said that he was looking forward to meeting his idol, Daihoney, in this tournament, but Daihoney fell short. It was Chansey that was able to surpass him coming through in winners. And then who would have thought it? Hamster coming through in the lower bracket. Priest and Paladin. Priest went from not winning a single game on the HCT stage to going all the way to BlizzCon.
Yeah, and then moving into Group C, Amnesiac, the young savage, coming out on top. And then Dr. Hippie winning the first of the slots for Europe in the top 8 in a tough match today against Yulsik.
Yep, and then finally, Group D. We've just seen Pavel do a huge comeback versus Omega Zero there, and Hot Meowth did take the #1 spot in that group. So it's going to be the 8 players, and we can actually check out what the bracket is going to look like for BlizzCon next week, what the top 8 is going to look like, who is facing who in the first match. It's going to be Jason Zhou versus Hamster, Amnesiac versus Pavel, Chionsu versus Cydonia, and Hot Meowth versus Dr. Hippie. What a top 8.
Yeah, and right away, the first thing that leaps out to me about this is just Americas versus Europe, 2 of the big games. Amnesiac, Pavel, Hot Meowth versus Dr. Hippie. A rivalry as old as time itself. We're going to settle some scores in the opening round of BlizzCon itself.
And one thing that's actually really important to note is that these players have an opportunity to change their decks prior to BlizzCon. And we see up in that top of the bracket there, Jason Zhou, the Control Warrior Master. He's going up against Hamster. Will he bring Control Warrior against Hamster, who we saw bring a lineup that was so strong against Control Warrior?
Right. I mean, it's great. I asked Hamster that question. I got to do the interview with him after the game, and I was expecting, you know, a blow-off answer of, oh, I don't want to give too much away. Obviously, I don't want to reveal to my opponent. He just says, yeah, probably going to bring Priest still. Yeah, he's got Warrior.
A man has my own heart.
Why wouldn't
Absolutely.
Yeah, if it was me and I was against Hamster, I'd just look at some lists and be like, I don't know what to do. Like, I just don't know what to do versus
all
this
of those games just have incredible storylines to them. They have to, with players having come so far already to get to BlizzCon. This is what we've been working towards all year to get to this point, and just 4 amazing top 8 matchups coming up next week.
Yep, I simply cannot wait. But we can check out the matches we had today, as they were the 4 lower bracket matches that decided the final 4 spots. Match 1 of the day, it was the rematch and the recast, as me and you did cast it, Sol. It was Cydonia versus Handsome Guy. What happened here?
I mean, I honestly don't know why they bothered to play it again. They should have just rolled the tape. We're casting, they're playing, same result. Cydonia comes out on top, but he did have a lineup edge in this whole group. His deck building and his strategic decisions before he even came to the tournament put him in an advantageous spot, and people underestimate how important that is. Hearthstone is not won and lost on the board entirely. So much of it is decided before you even play a single card, just by what lineup you chose to bring. And the story of this group for me was Cydonia being rewarded for his lineup construction.
Yeah, it worked out incredibly well, in particular because his group was the one full of rogues.
Yes.
And he managed to prey on those with his lineup that was so effective against them. And that, as we saw in his matchup again here with Handsome Guy, really worked out for him.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Cydonia. Had a great first match in this tournament. Took a rough knock when he got knocked down to lower bracket, but then came back fighting versus Handsome Guy again. But Frodan is standing by with Cydonia to get some words on the series, and no doubt words on his plans for next week.
Congratulations again, Cydonia, for making it to the top 8. I want to ask, now that you've had a couple hours to have it settled in, how are you dealing with the excitement of playing this weekend?
Just super happy. Was really looking forward to playing again next week, and like, this trip wouldn't be complete just playing the group stage. I only wanted to do the whole thing.
Yeah, so you have the goal of going all the way. I know some people say they're just happy to be top 8, but is it not enough for you? You want to win the whole thing?
Yeah, I want to win the whole thing for sure.
Heck yeah, man. You know, yeah, last year you had to follow up on Hotform's performance representing Canada and getting all the way to the finals. How do you feel about your side of the bracket now that you have to play against the opponents and you see who you're going up against?
I think like they're all really good players. Out me out, Hippie and Jonsu. They're all really solid. So I'm definitely gonna prepare for them.
All right, cool. Well, I guess you don't want to necessarily give too much away because you can change your deck list. Let's go ahead and roll some of the footage from the match. I think this one stuck out to you in particular. Claire, to elaborate why?
Well, just the match in general, because against Jason, that was the exact match I had to finish the day. I was trying to beat his Druid with my Cthulhu Warrior, and didn't quite work out. And afterwards, I thought a lot about that game, and like Firebat told me he thought I played too aggressively in the end and played into his Yogg. And then some other of my friends were like, there's one turn I drew with Acolyte where I could have developed just a card and traded. And he thought that was the turn I screwed up. I should have been even more aggressive. So I just practiced this matchup like the whole day, trying to figure out how to play it. And practiced, of course, some other matchups I thought I was not perfect in. But yeah, I'm really happy how it turned out.
That's fantastic. You know, being able to bounce back after a defeat is sometimes just as important as being able to just win in general. And you do come back from that loss, and being able to 8-1 hand some guys, definitely no easy feat. But it felt like you were just in good control the entire time. You know, now that you're going up into the round of 8, you're talking about the fact that your side of the bracket. Is there anybody you fear specifically, or is there any player that you want to match up against maybe on the other side of the bracket, or is there any person you're targeting at all that you're focused on in the round of 8 remaining?
No, I'm not targeting anyone specifically. Obviously, really rooting for my NA boys, so I hope Outmeout wins, and then I hope Amnesiac wins, and hope to beat them both toward the finals.
Do you think the fact that Americas has 3 of their players in the top 8 is indicative of strength of region, relatively speaking?
I don't know about the region, like on a whole. Of course, I'm gonna say NA is the best now for sure, but
Objectively, yes.
But I think the players from NA who are in this tournament are all very strong players for sure.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Congratulations again, and we'll see you this weekend at BlizzCon. For now, we're gonna wrap up this interview and head back over to Raven.
Thanks a lot, Frodan. Series 2 of the day was Hamster versus BB Gungun. And this is a series I know you especially were looking forward to, Brian, and it went Hamster's way in a very, very convincing fashion.
Yeah, BB Gungun came into the series saying he'd be really surprised if he lost, and Hamster was giving great accolades to BB Gungun, calling him Coach B, saying he helped him a lot. But it was the student who surpassed the master here. As Hamster winning 4 games to 0, really making BB Gungun look pretty shaky at points. There were some times that he clearly was very uncertain about his plays, and Hamster just managed to take it.
Yeah, and what do you think about these deck lists getting work done? You know, everyone all instantly questioned the choice of Priest and Paladin. It's been an ongoing discussion all week for Hamster. He's in the top 8.
It's hard to argue with results. As much as I don't like that phrase, it's factually true. It really is hard to construct an argument to take down someone that has just proved their point. And the great thing that I really like about Hamster is, again, I spoke to him after the game, and the first question I asked him was, you came into this, you said that you thought people were being too conservative, too predictable with their lineups. You wanted to inspire people to bring other decks. I asked him, do you think you've done that? He said, I'm halfway there.
Oh,
his job
it.
is not done until he wins BlizzCon with Priest.
Okay, well, that is no messing about. What an approach from Hamster. And we can hear more from him now as he's with Frodan at the desk.
Hamster, congratulations on making top 8. BB Gungun said that if you beat him, that you're going to win BlizzCon. What do you think about that?
那 B 教练说，你如果打赢他，你就一定会赢。
这个我觉得不是这样的吧，因为我刚才说，我之前就说过，我不是冲着冠军去的，而且，其实我的牌组，我更多的是为了展现自己吧。这个牌组其实想要夺冠挺难的，我觉得。
I don't think that's quite the case. I mean, like I said before, I didn't come here aiming to win. I have other purposes. So, and I think with my decks, it's going to be pretty difficult to get the championship.
Okay, well, I mean, you do have an option to change, so you can have time to figure it out. You said that some of those other goals and your pieces were to make friends and to make a point. Do you feel like you've accomplished that goal, or is that the goal that you're trying to chase more?
那你之前说你来就是为了要交朋友，那你觉得你已经满足了这个条件吗？
对，我觉得已经和很多人都成为朋友了。
Yes, I think I made friends with quite a lot of people.
That's good. Is TJ your friend too?
TJ 是你的朋友吗？
谁？
Sorry, he asked who. Get wrecked, TJ. Sorry, man. I was trying to throw you a bone there, make you feel better. All right, well, you know, how do you feel about your side of the bracket? You have to play against Jason Cho, a member from China team as well.
那你觉得你那组，你对他们感觉如何？因为你要跟 Jason Cho 对打。
我觉得和杰森打确实这个对局非常尴尬吧，因为我虽然我不是冲着冠军去的，但是我希望我的队友能够夺冠，但是他们有一种说法就是，如果想要打败我就夺不了冠，如果想夺冠就打败不了我，所以现在就非常尴尬，其实我更希望杰森能够出现。
I think it's quite an awkward situation because I feel like I definitely want my opponent, if they were to defeat me, they should go all the way, right? So it is kind of an awkward feeling if I defeat him, then I have to try to get to the championship, even though I said initially that I'm not here to be a champion.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you're so humble, too, because I know a lot of people are cheering for you in the West. They really want you to continue showing good results with Priest and Paladin. So, I mean, there's nothing really else much to say. So good luck. Thank you so much for joining us with the interview. And at this point, we wish you the best luck. We'll see you at BlizzCon.
祝你好运呢。
Thank you.
All right, well, that wraps up this interview. Let's head over back to Raven for further analysis.
Thanks a lot, Frodan. Always great to hear from Hamster. But we did have a third series of the day in which Dr. Hippie managed to make it and managed to put a point on the board for EU. It was Dr. Hippie versus Yulsik. What happened here, Sato?
What happened here is that Europe turned the corner. That's what happened. We are going to snowball this all the way to the BlizzCon title. No, but seriously, it was just a really strong performance from Dr. Hippie overall. I think this was perhaps the series where we saw the real Hippie come to play for the first time during this tournament. He was really on point throughout. And Yulsik, again, who has been no slouch throughout this tournament, you've brought up multiple times the level of improvement, the amount of hard work and practice he's obviously put in between qualifying and actually showing up here. But Dr. Hippie just showed why he's hailed as one of Europe's best and one of the most consistent players this year.
Yeah, it was a really strong performance from Dr. Hippie. Yulsik did a great job, but to be honest, Dr. Hippie's touted as one of the best players in Europe, if not the world, so great from him. But Series 4 was the one we just had, and it was a tense one. Omega Zero versus Pavel. Omega Zero was 3-0 up. Pavel managed to reverse sweep. How did you enjoy this series, Kibler?
I mean, this is just incredible. It really looked like Pavel was just done for.
Yeah.
And Omega Zero only had to get a win with his Druid deck. And he just failed to do so. Pavel was able to come back from that 0-3 deficit in some pretty crazy games, too.
Yeah. And I think like the first thing you have to shout out is testimony to Pavel, because he never broke mentally.
Yeah.
He never checked out of the game. After this, for example, like this Yogg-Saron being absolutely backbreaking for him, Call of the Wild into Unleash the Hound sticking on the nerfed Yogg, like that's so unlikely to happen now that it easily could have tilted him out of the game, but it did not. He kept his brain focused. He then got some good luck of his own coming back the other way, which he was always going to need from being 0-3 down. And in the end, Pavel chalked it up, so we now have 2 European representatives at BlizzCon.
Yeah, it was a great performance. And, just to echo what you said as well, Pavel, there was a big difference in him today from when he lost. He was visibly shaken on stage when things weren't going his way, but he did manage to hold it together. How important do you think that is as a player? Because, you've got plenty of background in competitive hard games.
I mean, it's absolutely crucial. There's a time when sometimes you're doing poorly and maybe you make a misstep. You get misfortunate, and it just is a switch in your brain that can sometimes turn. It's like, oh, you know, you've just resigned yourself to lose. And you can be in that spot and you're down 0-3, things aren't going your way. You're down 0-3 after that Yogg. Right. It's like, I'm just not meant to win. But if you can just keep your focus on, you know, you can turn it around just like Pavel did.
Yep, and to hear more from Pavel, he is standing by with Frodan at the desk to go over his series.
Congratulations, Pavel. That's right. I just talked to you a couple minutes ago. Welcome to the desk. You know, I guess my follow-up questions are again, about Omega Zero. Did you expect the series to go like that, to be able to beat Druid 4 times?
I wasn't have enough time to test my lineup against his lineup. So I was not sure which deck do I want to ban. I was thinking about Mage, Druid, and Shaman. I play some games with my friends, and I figure out that I definitely don't want to ban Mage. And I was choose between Shaman and Druid. I choose Shaman. Yeah, and in SPO, his Druid decks plays favorite against my Druid and against my Rogue, but I get lucky in these 2 games, so.
Yeah, you need to if it's a bad matchup. You know, specifically with his version of Druid, some people also brought the token Druid, and it definitely didn't necessarily perform well in this series, but performed well overall. So, a lot of people have been looking at Druid's performance. It has actually been winning a lot. And they blame that the players aren't playing it very well. Do you think this is actually the case, or do you think that Omega Zero just got unlucky?
I think he just got unlucky in last deck, and I mean, Warrior against Druid is favorite matchup for me, and I get good draws, so I win. Against Mage, it's also favorite matchup for me, and
you had a pretty good opening
and I
hand.
get pretty good opening hand.
Yeah, and then the other 2 matchups you mentioned that you definitely need to get lucky.
It's not too much unfavorite, it's slightly unfavorite.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, it's good to get some
still possible
insight.
to win if you get good draws.
Sure, absolutely. How do you feel about your side of the bracket? You get to play against Amnesiac. A lot of people are saying that he might be one of the favorites to win from this point on. Do you feel like you're unfavored against him? Do you feel like you're even, or do you feel like maybe even you're better than him and you're willing to take on the young Savage?
Yeah, he is definitely a very strong player, but I don't think that he play better than me. So chances is equal. I would say it will depends on lineups and on luck.
Yeah, that's awesome. And plus, you have to crush NA, right, so that EU can show its dominance once more.
Yeah.
Nah, that's convincing enough for me. All right. Congratulations, Pavel, on your top 8. We'll see you at BlizzCon on the main stage. That was an insight with our last person to get a spot for this weekend. So let's head over to Raven to wrap up the day and some final thoughts before we close opening weekend.
Thanks a lot, Frodan. And that is it for opening week. We can check out what the bracket is going to look like for BlizzCon next week. I cannot wait. We have the 8 players. Sol, what's the highlight here for you?
I mean, I brought it up before, but the 2 EU versus NA showdowns, Amnesiac versus Pavel, Hot Me Out versus Dr. Hippie, hugely excited for those, but don't want to gloss over the other games either. Chansu versus Sidonia is 2 of the dark horses who have really impressed throughout the tournament, clashing up against each other. And then there's just a great matchup narrative in the top game there, Jason Joe versus Hamster.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see if the opportunity to change their deck lists switches up what these people decide to bring. Right. You know, a lot of players had very strong opinions, clearly, about how the format looked and what the metagame ought to look like, how they want to react to it. And, you know, when we see people metagaming against the metagame decisions people made here, trying to get one step ahead, that's going to be sort of a big question going into BlizzCon.
And here's the thing, right? Like, you know who you're playing first, so you can just straight up double your money by trying to counter the tendencies of the first guy you play.
Then will they know they're doing that, and it all gets too deep for me?
I can't drink the glass in front of you.
No, that is going to be it from us. It has been a fantastic week here at the studio. It's been great to watch all these players go at it and finally get to the top 8. Tweet at us. Let us know if your player got through or who you are cheering for next week at BlizzCon. We can be at Play Hearthstone or check us out on Facebook. From myself, Subtle, Kibler, rest of the casters, the rest of the team, and the players, we'll see you next week at BlizzCon.